You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. Yes, claps all around. It is a wonderful Wednesday here on MinneZona Sports Live. We've got a lot coming to you tonight, baby. Let's go. I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Kelly, a.k.a. Kelly, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., 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 and all the way from Granite City Studios in St. Cloud, Minnesota, Paul the Shield. Shield, our winning ways. It's fantastic. It's a great feeling. How we doing?
Feeling as good as any Minnesota sports fan can feel right now. 2 wins in 2 days that took us 18 consecutive losses over the span of almost a quarter century. The Minnesota Twins are moving on to the ALDS against Houston. Feels great to say that.
It feels great to say that, and if you've been living under a rock these past 20 minutes or so, the Minnesota Twins are moving on from the wild card round. They're going to ALDS. They're taking on the Houston Astros. And, oh boy, we got ourselves a series, took down the Toronto Blue Jays, Royce Lewis, and the crew. Oh, my goodness. We're leading it up. We're literally leading it off with twin stuff right away for Tater Tot Hot Take. And then, at some point, we're going to let this fester, obviously, because we want to hear from you, the zoners, on your thoughts of the Twins finally winning a playoff game and winning a playoff series. I mean, it's fantastic. And another claps out. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. And then after that, Voldy's Virtues. It's something I really did not expect for Voldy's Virtues. So if you are a Wild fan, oh boy. I don't know if you want to hear this, but, Shields got his opinion on it. So be sure to check it out later on here. ARA, as always, we got a lot talking with the ARA. The Wild signed some guys. We've got turmoil with the Ryder Cup and all that stuff. Plenty more. Shield shoutouts. And, oh, by the way, pick them. Make your picks. Congratulations to Dylan Kilpatrick for winning this past week. He gets a Favre jersey, white, and with the captain's thing on it, I believe, too.
The captain's patch.
So it is about to be sent off to you, Dylan. Congratulations, and make your picks this week, too. So you never know when we're doing another prize. So keep on the lookout. All right, Royce Lewis is my savior. Cannot wait. Thanks, guys. We got you. We got you, my guy. So he was the top. He had 14, right? I mean, that's 14. Really good. That's really good. Yeah. 14 out of 14. Oh, I thought it was through 16. No, he got it. That's insane, man. Gosh, give that. No. Maybe it's not. I don't know. We'll have to look it up. But 14 is really good. I got to give it to him. 14 is really good. So, claps out to you, Dylan. And Voldy, let's just get it going. Let's get it rolling with some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, as you know, we are starting right quick with the Twins. Just win Twins. I kept it simple because I didn't know if they were going to win today, because if they lost today, then they'd play Toronto tomorrow and all that sort of stuff. But, I mean, what better way to start the show with the Twins win? They go into the wild card series. Things are looking very good for our Minnesota Twins. They finally realized what they need to do to win in the postseason. And what is that? What is that? Pitching! Pitching was fantastic. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. The bullpen was great. Our starting pitching was great. Sonny Gray, Pablo Lopez, Brock Stewart, that guy. Whoo! He was throwing Duran. Oh, my goodness, that guy. Scared me for a second, though, at the end with the blister or whatever was going on with that. Mm-hmm. But, guys, and again, the zoners in the chats, let us know your thoughts. Voldy, let's start off with you.
Right.
This is historic, absolutely historic for the Minnesota Twins. What are your thoughts on this series win against the Blue Jays?
Obviously ending that 18-game playoff losing streak was a huge accomplishment within itself. But actually following it up, too, was ultimately the goal here for this round. I mean, next round is going to be a whole different story. But we've talked about it. Like, I wasn't overly concerned going into this matchup against Toronto because I felt like the Twins had the better pitching staff for sure. Lopez goes out and he shoves in the first game. Sonny Gray, the wily veteran that he is, he goes out, he shoves as well. And the bullpen actually reciprocated as well. Brock Stewart comes out throwing gas. Griffin Jax turning into a very formidable setup man for Duran as well, even though we had that little bit of a scare there with him out of maybe a blister or maybe a fingernail or something going on before he went into the ninth, and it was able to close things out. But the fact that you got as capable of pitching early on here with the series, and you have basically going to be a fresh rotation coming up here for the next series coming up against Houston too. Now in a 5-gamer coming up here too, that's going to be a huge plus there for those Twins. Didn't have to waste too much with the bullpen. The offense came through when it needed to. Obviously, Royce Lewis homering in his first 2 at-bats was fantastic. You also got very good defense as well. Michael A. Taylor been very impressive here with the defensive play he's had throughout the whole season, and now coming up here at a couple of big points throughout the season. Get a couple of nice double plays turned around as well with Carlos Correa. Overall, as much as a complete team series win as you can get here with the Twins to open up the postseason.
And it's big because of how long it took, and it's nice to know that they can finally get the monkey off their back and finally do something with this. And there's a bright future here with this team. This is going to be a big test coming up here with the Houston Astros, and this is something to where, if you want to compete with those teams like them and the Rangers, and obviously now they know what it takes, and these guys fought pretty well. You have the great pitching, and obviously Royce Lewis. I mean, oh my gosh, yesterday he was pretty much. It was Royce Lewis versus the Blue Jays, for goodness sake. And he completely was on his game. And whenever he's in the lineup, it just gives them juice. I mean, the guy didn't even know if he was going to play yesterday. I mean, that's just insane. So I'm very happy for the Twins. Now, I told you before the show, I was like, well, do I have to take back what I said with Rocco Baldelli now? Them getting rid of Rocco Baldelli? Am I eating crow here? I just want to see, and I even if they do lose this series, they've exceeded my expectations of what they were going to do this year. I mean, I give them a lot of credit. And if they keep going farther, I might have to eat even more crow with that statement that I have with Rocco Baldelli. But here's the thing. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm not going to take it back now. But if they beat let me say this. If they beat the Astros, I will take it back. I will take it back. I will say...
Absolutely.
I will say that Rocco Baldelli, okay, he can manage. He proved us wrong. This is how things go. But if they take down the Astros, I will take it back. But if they give them a good fight, maybe I'll even do that. So we'll see. But a fantastic wild card round. The Twins only gave up one earned run. One earned run. And you got to give claps to that. The ALDS against the Astros, get it done, man. I believe in TC, what they say. Dylan says, getting to the ALDS is amazing. This next series is going to be tough, but I think with what we can put on the mound and a good amount of our batters, we can put up a good fight against Houston. I like the fact that Dylan said that our bats need to come alive here a little bit too, because it's great with Royce Lewis. It's great with we had the bases juiced and Correa coming through, and he has been clutch. His defensive prowess these past 2 games, phenomenal. This is what we want. This is what we want to see with Carlos Correa, and he's leading this team in the postseason. He's doing fantastic. And then he says, I knew the current series was in the bag when Lopez walked into Target Field with the Johan Santana jersey on. Yes, that is a very good point. And
big energy.
Big energy with Johan Santana. We love Johan. And he played like Johan right there.
Yeah, he did.
One thing, I want to go on the other side. I want to be, let's think the Blue Jays for a second. Then we'll move on to Vikes here. Pulling Jose Barrios. So,
yeah.
Schneider, their manager, pulled a Rocco Baldelli and pulled Jose Barrios. Right after he pulled him, Twins scored 2 runs. And that's all they needed. That's all they needed. So, Voldy, things not looking too good for Schneider here this offseason? What do you think?
No, I think there's going to be a lot of question marks coming into the offseason here for them, and especially with the management there with, obviously Barrios. He was dealing. It was a pitcher's battle, and especially with Barrios pitching the way that he was during that game, and especially on a very familiar team and a very familiar field that he was been accustomed to in his time. Going into that one, that was a very questionable move. Is it pitch count? Is it analytics? Is it something else that just said, you know what, we got to take him out of here just because it's not going to go much well after this too. I could very well see him being on the hot seat. I don't know if they're going to make a move, especially with this young core of guys that they've gotten, the recent success that they've had. I don't know of how much of a shakeup would happen, if anything, but definitely going to be a lot of big question marks for them here this offseason.
Well, we know a guy that's within that system. I wonder if they'd consider bringing up our guy, Coach Bo. I think that's a
stretch, but we'll see.
You never know. You never know.
Never know. Weirder things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, but again, that's the sabermetrics, the analytics thing comes into play again. And I just feel like sometimes you got to let the guys cook, right? And this is the second time that it's happened to Barrios, because remember in 2020 is when Rocco pulled him out, and then all of a sudden, the Twins give up, that lose that series against the Astros.
Yep.
We all know the deal. They were very mid-team that season after the whole cheating scandal. But
time is a circle, my friend. Time is an irrelevant circle.
It is.
Sports are rigged. Didn't you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Sports are rigged.
The script had the Twins winning, so that's good news.
If we would have just gotten that at the beginning of the season, we would have saved ourselves a lot of trouble here.
This is true. That first I remember before I was at the game when they got destroyed by the Orioles, like 15. I mean, I honestly thought it was bad. And the second half of the season, the Twins proved, hey, we're good. We just got to put it together, and they did. So, claps out to our Minnesota Twins. We will keep you up to date on everything Twins in the ALDS with the Astros, and it should be a fun series. Hopefully, the Twins can pull off. I'd say it would be an upset, right? Wouldn't you? Wouldn't the Zona say it would be an absolute upset if they took down the Astros? You take
down the defending World Series champions, that's definitely going to be an upset.
Yes, 100%. So, go Twins, and we're feeling pretty good right about now. Another thing that we're feeling good about is the Minnesota Vikings finally getting their first one against the Carolina Panthers. Dylan says huge upset, so we're doing good there. Obviously they didn't kick the crap out of them. They won. That's the main thing here. They won. Defensively, the second half, they let up no points. Marcus Davenport, like I said in my reaction video, I apologize, man. Like, seriously, man. Like, we just thought that you weren't really feeling it with the team, and no, you just need some time to rest, and you're looking pretty good so far. So, defensively, the Minnesota Vikings were fantastic. Oh, and not to mention, I don't know, Harry the Hitman, 3 sacks, forced fumble, just doing hairy things and whatnot. Guy was unbelievable. Claps out to Harry. Still doing it at this age. I mean, gosh, he's amazing. Under this Flores scheme, he has flourished. Offensively, Kirk didn't have a great game. It wasn't. I mean, it was decent. The thing is, 99-yard interception return for a touchdown. We don't like it.
MVP's got to have a day off.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to have an off day.
And people are like, "Oh, you threw it." It's like just before that. If it wasn't for a holding call, we would be talking about this at all. But Kirko still #Kirko for MVP. rushing-wise, things looked good there too as well. But Voldy, we're just gonna touch on this game just real quick because we got to move on to the game that is Sunday, which is going to be it's going to be a tough one because we're taking on the world here. I feel like, but
The world.
literally.
Literally.
Voldy, what are your thoughts on the Vikings win? And let's keep our fingers crossed for this week. But, you wouldn't say it would be impressive, but you'd say, win's a win, we'll take it. What do you think?
Even ugly wins are still wins, no matter how you chalk it all up there. I mean, the offense was moving great at the start of the game. Then that interception happens, and it looked like the offense, someone shot their dog or whatever. They were just very uninspired. Running game definitely picked things up. Madison had a very productive day as well. Even got some flashes as well from Cam Akers too. Yep. Late second half, able to pull things out. And then the defense really pulled things out there in that second half for sure. Because, I definitely feel like this defense under the Flores scheme really starting to come into effect here, and especially the production out of like Harrison Smith with those 3 sacks. You get that fumble recovery touchdown for DJ Wanham, and Marcus Davenport having a welcoming party on Sunday, I should say. Hopefully a good sign of things to come there with that overall performance.
And we know that Bryce Young is still, he's still young, he's, learning the ropes and everything like that. But this team is starting to put it together. And what I mean by that is they're defensively, they're doing things that they didn't do last year. We said this before. If you watch the Giants right now, Ed Donatell's defense was just... Daniel Jones should be thanking Ed Donatell for that contract that he got this back. Because he looks terrible. But getting back to the Vikings for a second here, in general, the defense looks 10 times better than it did. They're blitzing way more. They're taking more chances, and they need to be aggressive. It's that simple, and they were. DJ Wanham, I think, is kind of the unsung hero because he is. Especially when they have. It's kind of like the NASCAR package. I know a lot of guys, talk about that on different teams, but when you have Davenport, Daniil, and Wanham in there, watch out. There's going to be a one-on-one somewhere. So I like what they're doing defensively. I worry about how many yards we've given up through the air. But and then obviously we're going to get to Byron Murphy in a second. But I just think that as long as they're bending, but they're not breaking, especially in that second half. No points in that second half. So that looks good. I'm not super worried about the offense. I really am not. Cam Akers definitely was a key factor. And the run game and the passing game. He caught a pass and he got some yards as well. But I believe Alexander Madison kind of was like, I'm going to show you, hey, I can still be that guy. And he is. And he's been playing great these past 2 games. So, hopefully with Kirk, with the 2 interceptions, first one, yes, 100% on Kirk there. I don't disagree with that. But the second one, you could probably put on Ed Ingram. He just got beat. We'll get to that in a second. But Cam Akers is going to take that starting spot by the end of the year? That's a great question. I don't know.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
I like Madison, man. I feel like he's starting to figure it out because he's not just going, I'm going to find where the hole is and go from there. He's actually looking for creases and things like that, things that he didn't do before. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt there. But Cam Akers, he's a good back, man. He's shifty. He's very shifty, too. So it's possible. I'm not going to push all my chips in yet on that. So we will keep a lookout and obviously watch and see how he does. Here we go. Here's Jason. Kirk is a poor man's Matt Stafford.
Ew.
Well, I'm just saying, Kirk's been balling, man. I mean, he had a rough game. It wasn't great. I mean, you look at his completion percentage, it wasn't great. But you take away the holding call against Ed Oliver there, and I don't think we're even talking about intercept. I think we completely destroy them. But with that pick six, I think everything went bananas there. So
yeah, it did.
Big win. Let's do it. The Vikings versus the Swifties. We're taking on literally the entire world. Literally the world. The NFL fans, not the Swifties for one, they're sick of this. I'm sick. I mean, we're sick of this Taylor Swift nonsense. It's nothing against Taylor Swift. It's nothing against Traviskelce. But even Traviskelce said today, he said, "Look, I don't like that they're doing all this advertising and stuff like that." Wow, I agree with you. This is actually the same thing.
I want to hear from Taylor. I want to.
Yeah, me too.
He has to think about all this too.
Right, and so now you got.
He's allowed to talk.
I understand, like, you bring in this fan base and whatnot, like whatever.
Right.
I was hoping the Vikings would have a little bit better record and than they did coming into this game, but I feel like they're going to have one of their best. They're going to play one of their best games this year or this Sunday. I'll get to my opinion in a second, but Voldy looking ahead here. Tough test. It's at US Bank, so that's a good thing.
That helps.
That helps a lot. Voldy, what are your expectations for the Vikings here coming up on Sunday?
We've seen so far with this Kansas City team, there are some holes of this team here than there have been in years past.
True.
Look, literally, you take away Traviskelce or you limit him, you've got pretty much free range on getting after Mahomes a little bit. Obviously, he can still extend plays and everything and find a guy downfield. But literally, their receiving core, next to nothing. It's not been as formidable as it has been, or at least as deep it has been in years past. You shut down Kelce, you find a way to limit Pacheco, even though he's literally headhunting every time he touches the ball in his hand. You've got a very formidable chance on the defensive side to get Mahomes off the field because, he hasn't put up those MVP-type caliber numbers as we've seen in years past. But I also look on the other side. The Vikings are going to have to win this game. They're going to have to win a shootout, I think, in my mind. They're going to have to put up some points, and they're going to have to do it quickly. They're going to have to protect Kirk because we know that defensive line, and especially Chris Jones, who is just come right in and act like nothing's ever changed for him. That's going to be a big pressure point for them. If they can get rid of the ball, they can move it downfield, put up some points early, put them up early and often, don't take the foot off the gas. They've got a very good chance, but they really need to protect Kirk because he continues to continually get hit and hit often, and it's not going to last as well as it has the last couple of years with him because especially with that defensive front they've got for Kansas City led by Chris Jones. I mean, they've got their work cut out for them, and they obviously with Mahomes too, he's going to find ways to keep plays alive, look downfield, and they've got to put up points. That's the big thing there, and really ruin a whole lot of people's weekend, I think.
So there's a lot to unpack with this game, but I'm going to try to trim it down as best I can.
Please do.
The one thing that I don't like is Byron Murphy flapping his gums about this whole Swift thing.
Why'd you have to do that?
I don't give this team any reason to come out and just beat the crap out of it and have Traviskelce, do that too.
Yep.
Don't give them any reason because you know what happens when you do that? You get burned. Most of the time. But if you go out there and you take it to them and you got to back up that talk. And again, Byron, Murphy, a lot of fans, looking at the stat lines, a lot of these receivers. I mean, this against the Chargers, was it 18 receptions for Keenan Allen and 215 yards or something like that? Yep. So, not saying that's all him. And that's not all him, though. I mean, I will say that. I think he's made some good plays too. But this isn't a smart idea to poke the bear here. And they're still a very good team. Like we talked about, Voldy. Like they've got some holes, but with Mahomes, anything is possible. And oh, by the way, Andy Reid is a Hall of Fame head coach. Like this isn't something that they're just gonna, come in and just be like, well, we're better, so we're just gonna be. No, you got to come in with a damn good game plan. And you mentioned Chris Jones. I worry about that because you know where Chris Jones is gonna line up? Right over at Ingram. So this is the Vikings' biggest problem right now. Do you put in Dalton Risner? Do you put him in? And because he's gone against Chris Jones twice. He was with the Broncos. They played him twice. So do you go with the guy with the experience, or do you have Ed Ingram, who's had flashes? But this is key because he could screw everything up that they want to do offensively. So this is it's key. They have to have a plan for Chris Jones. So that's another thing. The other thing I worry about too is if we are able to at least contain Mahomes, because he's so mobile. He can get out of the pocket. He can do all these insane things.
Yeah,
we just got to have a spy or things like that. But you're going to get beat someplace. I mean, he's just going to be that damn good. It's just that's just how it is. But if you can just contain him, limit him, maybe get a couple sacks, if you can if you play defense like you did in that second half, you can beat anybody, especially with a guy like Mahomes. So, and who better to be a QB spy than Ivan Pace Jr.? He's been one of the top-ranked linebackers by PFF. So, I think this is going to be one of their toughest matchups, other than maybe the 49ers, and then maybe Lions too. So a lot to factor in with the Vikings. So with that being said, it's going to be one of their toughest games. The crowd's going to be into it. They're going to have a lot of juice. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I don't want to see them get their butts kicked. And if they get their butts kicked, then, you got to start having some conversations about some things. But if you go out there and you give them the game like the Jets did to this past Sunday night.
Exactly.
Let's do it. Kirk, we got the offense, man. I'm telling you, we got the offense. I'm not saying they're going to win because I don't want to put myself in that position.
The Jets were this close to beating the Chiefs. I say that again. The Jets, the Zach
Jets.
Wilson, Milfman Jets were this close to beating the Chiefs.
And you know what's going to happen. Hashtag Kirko no chill. Hashtag you like that whole deal. I hope. And I agree. I think it's going to be a shootout. I'm not going to say they're going to win. But last thoughts before we move on to Voldy's virtues. If let's just say they keep it, we don't expect them to win this game. We don't expect them to win this game. Right. But we have to see some progression here, and you have to prove to people that you're still a good team. I still think they're a good team. I just think that they need to piece some things together. We had a couple bad bounces. Should have beat Baker. Should have beat the Eagles. Should have beat the Chargers. Now, if you can go in and beat the Chiefs, shock the world, take down those damn Swifties, then hey, everyone's going to love you, and then all of a sudden you get on this run. This is the time to make the run. So, if the Vikings are going to, like we said, I said they were going to win the division, go to the NFC Championship game, all that.
Right.
I don't want to go back on what I said. That's the thing. You don't want to go back on what you said. I mean, it's that simple. So, it's going to be a key game, and we're going to be watching it very closely and whatnot. And they got the Bears right after that, so, hey, we should get the job done there, too, with all that going on. So, okay, that's going to do it for Tater Tot Hot Take. A lot of great hot takes this week with the Twins, the big one with the Twins, obviously, and the big Vikings game coming up on Sunday. I hope that I see Austin, if the Vikings beat Austin's Chiefs. He will not hear the end of it from me. I'm just saying, man.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I'm just saying. I will be annoying as hell if they win. If they beat the Chiefs. So, anyway, with that being said, Voldy's virtues. This is a lot to take in. And there's some zoners that are Wild fans that don't want to necessarily hear this. Specifically just because the Wild, like, you're saying that they're not going to ever get the Stanley Cup. Like, what is going on? So, hopefully, you're going to give some reasons. The zoners, I want you to be ready in the chats to answer to what Voldy has put out and whatnot, and we'll just kind of take it from there. But let's head to the Temple of Wisdom. Let's go for Voldy's virtues.
Do it.
He has emerged from the Temple of Wisdom. Gather round for Voldy's virtues.
All right, gather around. We are in the Temple of Wisdom. So, Voldy, enlighten us with your knowledge.
Well, originally, the conversation that we are going to have tonight is about my confidence in the Minnesota Wild being able to exorcise the demons of their franchise in a mistakes past and finally hoist Lord Stanley's Cup. But with further contemplation and further acknowledgement of the current situation that we live in, that is not going to be a forethought for this season, or maybe even seasons to come as well. But I would very much like for these next series of statements to be proven wrong, and I would certainly be the first to admit that I was wrong, and I would love nothing more to say that I was wrong by the end of this time, or maybe even a few months prior as we go into 2024. But this is why the Minnesota Wild will never win the Stanley Cup. With the NHL season vastly approaching, of course, we are just mere days away from puck drop with a brand new season led by, of course, the defending Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights. The season's predictions laying out who is poised to make a run at Lord Stanley's Cup are sadly once again here, and yet our beloved Minnesota Wild are nowhere even close near to those conversations. Of course, teams like the Ottawa Senators, or even the defending Vegas Golden Knights, the Florida Panthers with their miracle run that they had last year all the way to the Cup final, and many other teams in that conversation. But yet, the Wild are very on the far end of that spectrum as well. There are many reasons why this team will falter, unfortunately, and maybe, just maybe make the playoffs coming out of their division. But yet, a deep playoff run will most likely not be in the cards. When you look at the overall makeup of this team coming into the season, there's just two words. They're old. Or they are old, I should say, but we'll keep it simple here for all those tuning in at home. But talking about they're old, sure, experience is good in a hockey team. You need to have that veteran experience, guys that have played in the big moments, in the big games, been sustainable players throughout their entire career. But yet, sometimes you have to lead an old horse to the glue factory. And this is one of those instances as well. You have Marc-Andre Fleury. Nothing against Marc-Andre Fleury. Fantastic Hall of Fame career for Marc-Andre Fleury. You have Patty Maroon, the big rig, 3-time Stanley Cup champion with 2 different teams in a span of 3 years. Alex Goligoski, former, of course, a Minnesota boy in itself, playing with his hometown team as well. But yet, they are the oldest on the team with Stanley Cup experience as well. But that doesn't mean much to the rest of the team that hasn't even made it out of the first round of the playoffs since 2015, if not 2016 in that season as well. You look at the recent contracts that had also been signed by the likes of Matt Zuccarello, Marcusfoligno. You've got Zucc, you've got Moose locked up to their late 30s. are great for continuity. Absolutely. You've got to have continuity with a hockey team, but that doesn't make or produce to a player such as themselves, especially when it comes playoff time, that scrimp and scrape to find ways to score or even set up guys to score. The production level that they had in their younger, more formidable years isn't going to be the same as it once was when they first came to the league. And especially in the NHL where youth kills. This league continues to get younger and younger. The players are faster, they're more skilled, sometimes can be even more physical as well. The league is getting younger, and the Wild are once again the old man yelling outside, barking at the clouds, and on the outside looking in. The second part there of our conversation, talking about their youth. Or I should say that the youth that they have and the prospects, unfortunately, do not get the same amount of seasoning at the professional, the NHL level, that they usually get from other professional teams at the level among their top prospects on other teams as well. The Wild have been having a notorious streak when they do get a young talent of going after, I should say, talking about going after older players instead of taking more serious looks at the players that they have coming up from the minors. You'll look at the other times that they've had younger guys that have come through their ranks and maybe we're going to be an impact on the team. Oh, yeah, they're traded the next season as well. Alex Tuch was a guy that got drafted and signed by the Wild, played a handful of games. He gets traded to Vegas, and well, he's now hoisting a Stanley Cup years later as well. The Wild have had not so great luck in developing these young players as well. They decide to prize aging free agents and trading away prospects, which has become a detriment in many other factors, one of which, of course, the curse of Minnesota. As soon as you leave the Minnesota professional team, you win a championship elsewhere. That continues to loom larger and larger each year, with more players being added to that list that were former Wild players. Looking back at such trades as you look at even some free agent signings like the Devin Setaguchi, Danny Heatley trade that took place, signing those players as well. Martin Havlat back in the day as well. Patty Maroon as well, picking him up. I don't know how that's going to affect the Wild this year, but I'd like to be proven wrong yet again. And when the Wild do get a chance to showcase these players, unfortunately, time is never taken into consideration of getting these players acclimated to the NHL lifestyle, because by the time they start to produce, they're not given enough time to do so. And by that time, they become either a forever minor leaguer or have taken their opportunity to the wayside and they're traded away faster than they could even get their skates tied nonetheless. And unfortunately, one thing that I continue to harp on with each and every season with the Minnesota Wild, it's the revolving door of goaltender play that they have. Looking back as well with the years of Nikolai Hobby-Bulin, Manny Fernandez, Nicholas Backstrom, Josh Harding. You look at Devin Dubnyk and Kaapo Kakkonen as well. Just continues to revolve back and forth, back and forth. Darcy Kemper, another goaltender as well. The Wild have been nothing but rotating goaltenders for many other teams. That is not even a consideration. They have their number one guy. They stick with their number one guy 5 times out of a 7-day schedule in that regard too. But yet the overall performance of a team can also be affected by this rotating play that you have with their goaltenders. I understand that one goaltender might need a night off or an afternoon, going from a night game into a late afternoon game. And, you know, the backup, he's fresh. He hasn't played in a few days. Let it happen. But yet the fact that the Wild continue to switch goaltenders back and forth, it seems about just about every 2 or 3 games, one guy is starting, the other guy is sitting on the bench, doesn't build enough continuity for the team to instill confidence in that goaltender as well. Because if he's sitting on the bench, well, what does that mean? Does that mean that we're going to have to, you know, find ways to score more? Or are we going to have to score? Are we going to have to defend more? Or what are we going to have to do? Can questions the overall lineup for the team. And the one main goaltender that needs to be an emphasis, whether it be Marc-Andre Fleury or Philip Gustafsson, frankly, I don't care. Pick a guy, stick with a guy. But one guy needs to be the number one guy in between the pipes, and he needs to be there 7 days a week, maybe 6 days if you want to be sure to, you know, make sure the wheels don't fall off too early. But looking at these situations that we have going into the season as well, more questions than answers as well. We've got guys that the Wild should have let go or traded 3 or 4 years ago in order to get the biggest return. I was still very harping on the fact the Wild should have traded Matt Dumba 5 seasons ago when he was at his hottest as well. Now he's in Arizona, nickels on the dime. The Wild get nothing out of that once again. You look at this team, you've got an aging lineup. You've got young guys looking to do something. You've got Joel Eriksson Ek. You've got these young guys coming up, Marco Rossi as well. You've got, of course, Kirill the Thrill, the first time we've mentioned him all night. And we're going on this now 7-8 minutes into this conversation and have yet to talk about Kirill the Thrill. We know he's going to be there. He's going to produce. He's going to have to put up points. But what about the other 15 guys that are on the offensive way, the other 6 guys on defense, and the goaltenders? Too many question marks, way too much conversation about what's not going on than what's going on with this Wild squad. An old team looking for a youth identity that they don't have. Something's got to happen, and it's got to happen fast, even though we've been talking about it now going to year 5. This is year 5 of Bill Guerin being GM, and they have yet to make it out of the first round of the playoffs, too, which is extremely unfortunate because I've been a Bill Guerin guy since day one. Loved him as a player. I thought he was a very formidable and a very, very good, assistant GM or at least player development guy for the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's why they won 2 Stanley Cups about 6-7 years ago, too, with that group that they had out in Pittsburgh. But now the Wild have nothing to show for what they have with Bill Guerin so far. So this may be a make or break season for the Wild and for Bill Guerin, too. Because I know that Craig Leopold is looking at this overall team and we need something to happen here. Or otherwise, what are we doing? If we're just going to continue to do this, if we're going to hit copy and paste every 5, 6, 7 years, then why do we even bother? We need something to happen, and we need it to happen fast. With this team that they have, I don't see a Stanley Cup coming to the Twin Cities anytime soon. Like I said at the very beginning, I would love nothing more to be wrong. I will apologize on this show for the sake of the show, for the sake of the zoners, for the sake of the state of Minnesota. I would love nothing more to be proven wrong, and I would love the Minnesota Wild to acknowledge this and rub it in my face till the end of time. But until that happens, the Minnesota Wild will never win the Stanley Cup.
Wow. It's a lot to take in, especially if you're a big Wild fan. Here's a couple things I want to add to your argument as well. Playing devil's advocate a little bit for a second here.
Of course.
The contracts, Suter, Parise.
Yep.
Do you think that I feel like that has a factor into why they can't go and get another guy to either match or have a guy on the second line or something like that to do that? That was kind of the mistake of Fletch as the GM, right? So would you say that has a little bit more of a factor into it as opposed to, well, I think Bill's... Do you think that Bill may be just waiting till those contracts expire? So then when they do have the cap room, they're making moves, left and right. What do you think of it? What do you think in that perspective?
I certainly think that is a factor as well, but that shouldn't stop you from putting together the team that you want, even though, of course, the money isn't going to be there. You've got to live within the confines of, obviously, the salary cap, too. But knowing that's going to be coming to an end, I don't know if it's this season, end of this season, or if it hasn't ended already. I know that is going to definitely be something that they would love to get off their backs and be able to move forward to.
Okay. Because that's a question I ask because I know that we know some Wild experts and fans that look at that and say, Bill's doing the best he can with what he can do within the cap and all that stuff. Right. Here's one that's really not super relevant to what we're talking about, but Brother Maynard, whoever that is, says Kirk's old too. Get rid of that old man, otherwise the Vikings in the same boat. Well, let me answer with top 3 in passing yards right now.
What?
I think a lot of touchdown, or one of the top 3 in touchdowns, things like that, is the Problem, Kirk? Don't think so. Kirk's been doing fine. Figure out what you're going to do at the end of the season. And yes, Kirk's 34, 35, whatever. Yeah, you got to start looking to the future at some point. I agree. I do agree. But absolutely. I don't know, Brother Maynard. He's not super old, much like Aaron Rodgers, who tore his Achilles. He's 39, 40. Man. They took a chance there. Just saying.
Yep.
Alex, our guy Alex. No, Munson's not on tonight, but I know that you guys are having a little rift between each other. But all good. Wow. All jokes aside. He asks you, Voldy, do you think the Wild should rebuild then? Starting, let's just say after this season. Let's just go with that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Ooh.
I think they should. I think they should rebuild. I think it's going to be, I don't know if a full rebuild. You've got 4 or 5 guys you could definitely stick with.
You keep the thrill. Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah.
He's A1 on the protected list, don't break glass unless emergency situation. You've got at least 4 or 5 guys that you can keep. You've got about 5 or 6 guys you can definitely dangle out there for some capital as well, or at least get rid of some dead money contracts too. You've got some pieces at multiple positions there. Just need to find a lot more sustainability for that.
I wonder about this too, real quick. You mentioned the goalie position.
Yep.
You're right. As if you really think about it, they've gone through a lot of goalies. Not saying that they were bad. I mean, Dubnyk, I just think kind of fizzled out. He started off hot, but just, I don't know, really wasn't the same after a little bit, and then they moved on, and the coaches they've been through with Yo had some success, Boudreau, a little bit of success, and all that stuff. You bring in Billy G. Wood, who I think's done a great job too. But, I think a lot of your argument here, it raises some questions too. And I think that it's very forthright, and I also think too that if anything's going to change, you got to get out of that damn first round. I mean, exactly. It's that simple. I'm sick and tired of going into a postseason series and them not moving on. I mean, it's frustrating to me. And, my sources say, the expert says, he says 2 to 3 years, and they'll be one of the tops. They'll be playing for a cup. Well, we've been waiting for a long, long time now. So let's get something going here. First step, moving on to the second round. That's what I'd say. So, but I couldn't agree more. I think there's a lot to be said here that I agree. There's a lot of that I agree with. There are some things that I think, the zoners can talk about. If they disagree, let us know. We'd like to hear from you guys too. So, Alex says Fleury is old. Start Gustafson more. He has lots of potential. Yes, I think he could be the guy here too. I really liked what he did this past season, and looking forward to seeing what he does this upcoming season. So we shall see. But great job with virtues this week, Voldy, as always. ARA, there's a lot to talk about tonight. The Wild. We're going to stick with the Wild and talk about the re-signing of Moose and Zucc. And XFL, USFL merging together. Ryder Cup, there's craziness going on. AD, the face of the Lakers? What? Wow. And the NCAA, of course, transfer portal stuff, all that stuff here. So, I say, Voldy, we get it going. What's up? Absurd or approved?
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for some Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Of course, we just got done talking about the Minnesota Wild and how they won't win the Stanley Cup, but at least 2 important pieces coming back here for a number of seasons ahead for the Minnesota Wild. Of course, it was announced this past week that the Wild did re-sign Matt Zuccarello and Marcusfoligno to contracts for them as they are coming into, of course, contract years for this season. Zuccarello, 2 years, $8.25 million this season, and next season he will be under contract. Wow, it's Marcusfoligno signing I believe he is signed on for another couple, was it identical contracts or something like that?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Foligno. Yep, 4 years, $16 million for
Perfect.
Marcusfoligno as well. So a couple more years for him following, of course, Matt Zuccarello. Both of them going to be in their late 30s as well by the time their contracts are done with the Wild too. But nonetheless, continuity and confidence in that lineup with the re-signing of Moose and Zuccarello as well. Is it absurd or approved? These signings will prove to be difference makers this season for the Wild.
Well, the one that I do like is them extending with Zuccarello. I feel like him and Kaprizov have really been a force on that line these past couple of years now. So keeping him, I think, is good. You know, like you said, he's 36 now, and you know, I think Billy G did a good job of kind of giving a 2-year, $8.25 million contract extension is perfect for this, and I think, you know, Bill notices that. The other with Foligno, man, I think a lot of Wild fans would riot if he didn't stay on with the team and whatnot. So I feel like he is a difference maker. He kind of gives them that energy that they need, and it's not only with his hits and fighting and all that, but it's his offense too. I mean, he's he can score some goals. I mean, he's a guy that can give you a spurt of offense here and there, and I think he's a key piece. So signing those two key pieces is smart. And obviously with the 2-year deal, I feel like with Zuccarello, I think the contracts with Parisi and Suter finally are done after, was it 3 more years or something like that? Whatever the hell it is. So hopefully, they'll have some money to work with there. But I think it's a smart signing. You sign the guys that you know, and go from there. So it's got my stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
I do like these signings like you brought up with Zuccarello. I think obviously being a nice complementary piece to a still developing, if not further developed, Kirill Kaprizov as well. Get him comfortable with that line combination as well. And then you've got, Foligno as well, brings that grittiness to the team, also serves as, can score as well down on the third line if need be too in certain situations too. But definitely that veteran experience that they both have and offering that locker room too, going to hopefully pay dividends for the season ahead. So it's definitely got my stamp of approval as well.
So the season starts up late October, early November? What are we?
Next week, actually.
Next week. Yeah. Wow, we're rolling right ahead. So let's go. NHL, and he says, I heard the NHL is increasing the cap. So I believe that would help as well. So cha-ching, cha-ching, like you said. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we've been talking about, obviously, our fondness for the XFL and, of course, the St. Louis Battlehawks as well. With
sir.
Resurgence of the XFL
the law.
Post-pandemic as well from 2020, now 2023. And the reemergence of the USFL, 2 spring football leagues feeding the need for football fans all the way up until NFL training camp. Well, now there's been recent chats that the XFL and the USFL are in conversations to quite possibly merge together as well for maybe not the upcoming season, this coming spring, maybe quite possibly. All been really quiet when it comes to how this is all really coming about as well. But there have been initial conversations of both leagues to come together. Of course, we know that the XFL, fronted by Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia as well. The USFL, fairly quiet on their operations as well, especially a lot of not really a lot of teams. There are a lot of teams, but not so much personalities or characters out of the USFL, the same that the XFL has gotten over the last year plus too. But with these 2 leagues, 2 spring football leagues, quite possibly merging into 1 spring football league in the possible year, is it absurd or approved? Is this merger going to be beneficial for both sides of this merger?
Yes, and the reason why I start off with that is because I think it's a money thing. The XFL, even though they had their season, I thought it was successful. I think that they did a pretty good job. Obviously, there are things to improve, but also there still wasn't enough viewers. There still wasn't enough. I feel like they marketed it just fine, but I also know too that the USFL wasn't doing great either. So what do you do in order to, keep things afloat? You merge, and in this instance, it makes sense for both sides to do that, especially give the opportunity for a lot of these either former NFL players or players that are trying to make it and all that. It makes sense, and I think that's the smart thing to do at this point, especially with The Rock and Danny Garcia, who have done a really good job with them, especially in the spring months and all that. And obviously, the law is the law with the Battlehawks. You heard it here first. But it makes sense. I mean, this is something to where they'll be able to merge. Maybe even rattle off some ideas with each league this past year. Maybe do some
Right.
things different. So I think this is a smart way to do it. So, yep, stamp of approval from me. Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is definitely something that's going to draw a lot more attention for both leagues, because obviously we both pay attention to the XFL.
Right.
Did we watch a whole lot of games? Maybe not so much. Just
Here and
kind
there.
of paid attention. Yeah, here and there. Kind of surprised us, on a Saturday afternoon in the spring when the Twins aren't playing or whatever. It's like, oh, XFL's going on right now. Okay, yeah, I'll watch a little bit of it and then be disappointed by the play as well. Then the USFL, never paid it any attention whatsoever and be like, why is there a team from Michigan and Birmingham playing in Mobile, Alabama? It's like, makes no sense whatsoever, but that's just what was going on with the USFL as well. But looking at how this can be beneficial, obviously we saw the amount of guys that got signed from the XFL into the NFL as well with contracts and at least got invited to training camp, maybe even got signed to the team as well, practice squad guys as well.
Right.
This could very well be kind of a development stage of football to lead to the NFL at the same time, because the door is always opening and closing in the NFL. You can definitely never keep guys off the list for very long. So I think it's going to be very beneficial, because that way they can really hammer some things down and be able to create one league that will be, very, very well acclimated for players that maybe didn't get a chance out of college, and give them a chance to at least continue to play and impress other teams as well at the NFL level at the same time.
Stamp of approval. All right. XFL and USFL should be treated like a minor league / feeder team for the NFL. Actually, they're already doing that. I believe there's an agreement in place. But whenever they get signed to a practice squad, like from any of the teams, A.J. McCarron, for one, did sign the practice squad to the Bengals again. So it is. Technically, it is now. And apparently, I think The Rock Dwayne Johnson reached out to Colin Kaepernick to get him, in the XFL / USFL and
get him back.
See if he's still got
need
it.
Cap.
So
yeah, we need Cap.
I don't see any issue with that. So, yep, stamps of approval. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, in what could be the most interesting Ryder Cup that took place over the weekend as well. Well, you look at the numbers of Team Europe that took down Team USA, finishing off a victory that was 16.5 to 11.5. Of course, it was a pretty one-sided affair as well, despite a late run by Team USA to try and recapture the Ryder Cup. But nobody's really talking about what happened on the course. It's a whole lot going on off the course that happened. We got Rory McIlroy trying to fight a caddy. We've got Team USA staging a coup within itself for not getting paid enough and not wearing hats and everything. It's just one thing after another. Team USA really shot themselves in their own feet as well without even really standing a chance against Team Europe in that Ryder Cup finale as well. Looking at all the headlines that took place, you got Xander Schauffele, who almost didn't even make the team as well, had his spot revoked. Patrick Cantlay leading a protest within the team by not wearing a hat, saying that they should get paid more. And then you got Rory McIlroy, who's trying to fight an old man for a caddy as well, on the course, after the course, in the clubhouse, at the hotel, anywhere and everywhere. Rory was just looking to scrap one way or another. Looking at what happened, and of course, everything really faltered within Team USA. You read on some of the stories too that there was just no cohesiveness. Team Europe was just running roughshod over Team USA as well. Do you look at it? Is it absurd or approved? Does Team USA need a complete overhaul with their golfers, given their professional and personal dilemmas happening all at the same time?
Yeah, they definitely do. I think they absolutely do. And the first person you call is one Tiger Woods. And I believe they won it when he was coach, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Correct.
You have to rally the troops. And the thing is this is very big. This is huge. I mean, the bragging rights and everything on the line, this is USA versus Team Europe. And Team Europe has wiped the floor with Team USA. Because, like you said, there is no cohesiveness, especially when you have, competing personalities. They rallied late, but they were down like big time. This is embarrassing to see, and obviously have all this like, well, this guy, Xander Schauffele, like you said, with the money deal and his spot revoked and all this stuff. It's bad. And the thing is Team Europe has the cohesive. They work as a team. Team USA does not. They're only out for personal gain. Justin Thomas is very good. Jordan Spieth, obviously. But you gotta come together. You can't let Team Europe beat you like that. And you made the rally, but you gotta have some leadership there. And the first thing you do is you call Tiger and say, listen, what do we got to do here? Rally the troops, call Tiger Woods, get whatever you need coaching to lead this squad. So they will respect him and they will listen. I guarantee you that. So yes, complete overhaul. I agree. They need to do it. Stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
I think the first thing, whoever calls Tiger Woods, be like, hey, what do we got to do? I want to hear only one thing out of Tiger's mouth, and I want it to be, cut this shit! Just cut it! We can stop this!
Yeah.
It's about personal pride we're going after here. You want to be paid to play in the Ryder Cup? There's about 30 other guys that want to come play in the Ryder Cup, and they'll do it with nothing but their skivvies on, with no shoes. They'll show up and play around at 3 o'clock in the morning in the pouring rain to represent the US of A. And you know why that Team Europe was able to do what they wanted to do? Because of the fact, I hate to say it, Team Europe is just so much better than American golfers.
That's true.
Now. John Rahm. You got, of course, Rory, who's in the back half of his career, if at all, but he's still very much a factor. John Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood is a very, very formidable opponent as well. And then you've got guys, Justin Thomas, you've got, Jordan Spieth as well. Yeah, sure, they run into a win every now and then, but it's just not the same as all these other guys that just continue to dominate. Xander Schauffele, of course, he's had a couple of nice wins here and there, but again, not to the same level as these guys for Team Europe. And all the stuff happening off the course, of course, the live effect that you throw in there too, with all these guys that, went from the PGA to the live tour as well. And that overhaul at the same time, it's just, there's no cohesiveness anymore. Everybody's all after the bag, which I understand as well, because guys, they want to get paid. They're going to do this. They want to get paid. They want to be compensated for their time. But you would think they would take one weekend to not get paid and at least play for something a little bit bigger than themselves. But unfortunately, this is professional sports. There's no such thing as pride. They'll play for whatever money that is getting thrown at them, hence why the Live Tour was so promising. And now the PGA is merging with the Live Tour at the same time, so that way everybody can get paid at the same time. An overhaul is an understatement. They need a complete redevelopment of anything that is Team USA and USA Golf too.
So it's just, it's a mess. And the guy that I know can fix it is one Tiger Woods, because they'll listen to him. They will. So, oh man, greedy people, I tell you, Voldy. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we head to the NBA, one of my favorite conversations to talk about. But heading into a new season in the NBA, of course, LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers look to bounce back going into this season. But even into one of the final years of his deals with the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron was setting anything aside of being, quote, the face of the franchise. And he was quoted as saying that he's ready to pass that on to teammate Anthony Davis as the leader of the LA Lakers and the face of the franchise as well. Very interesting, especially with Anthony Davis, who has been questionable over the last year or so, of course, with injuries and just willingness to play for the team as well. LeBron, in the very twilight of all twilights in his career, still performing to the level that he could be if injuries do not become a factor as well. But AD, Anthony Davis, who came over, of course, in a trade in 2019 with the New Orleans Pelicans to the Los Angeles Lakers, does bring up a couple of interesting points. Of course, they did win the title together in 2020 in the bubble as well. But you look at it, do you think the comments that LeBron made, absurd or approved, about AD being the face of the Lakers if the time for LeBron in LA comes to an end?
The guy's got to stay on the court. It's that simple. He is one of the best big men, in the league. And the fact that he can't stay on the court is something you can't you can't say that he's going to be the face. And I disagree with LeBron, and there are a lot of things I agree with LeBron on. This isn't one of them. And the reason why is because the injuries, and also there's been rumors that he wants to go back to his hometown of Chicago or something like that. So there's always that in the back of your mind. If you're going to be the face of the Lakers, you got to have either LeBron James, stardom, Kobe, Shaq, that type of, Magic Johnson, for goodness sake, that kind of star power. I don't think AD's got that. And especially for him to be playing consistently, and there's got to be. When he's healthy, he's good. There's a reason why they won in the bubble too, because he was healthy. So him being the face, I think, is LeBron saying that's absurd. I wouldn't even go that far, because can he carry a team? If AD, like I said, if he stays healthy, but he's only going to carry them to the play-in tournament. That's it. Unless they get, another guy here or there. So, Alex says, Lakers about to be swept again by the Nuggets. Probably. Nice. D'Lo is more of the face of the Lakers than AD. I don't know. And D'Lo did not play well in those playoffs, for one. I don't know about that one. But AD, I think it's absurd. Don't make those comments, because, people are going to take them and say, why would you say something like that? The guy's got to be on the frickin' court. That's all I got to say. So, Voldy, what do you got?
I think this is a tactic move to get the attention away from LeBron, so that way he can slip out the back door from the LA Lakers at the same time, because he's deflecting away from the point. It's like, is this going to be your last year? Are you going to wait until to see where Bronny gets drafted to sign a deal with that team? Or what are we doing about this season? Are you going to stay healthy? Are we going to win another championship? Are you going to fall out of the first round and get swept again? What's going to happen? He's deflecting away and drawing attention towards, obviously, AD to get him prepared for when he does leave the Lakers at the same time. I understand what that's going on, but also you want to be able to instill somewhat of a sense of confidence in AD too, if he's healthy enough to continue to play, or at least, he says his goal is to play 82 games this season, in AD, that is. Be interested to see if he makes it even to 52 or even 42 for that matter. Then that will be quite interesting to see how that all goes out for him. But yeah, staying healthy is the big thing if the Lakers want to be able to do anything this season, because, obviously the window that they do have since 2020 has been shrinking so mightily. And then, of course, the Western Conference still continues to be the best conference as well. And now you got the Nuggets to deal with, beyond some of the usual suspects, of course, with Golden State and now the Suns at the same time.
And then, you do look at the East now with Milwaukee, and obviously Miami's always in the hunt there too. I mean, it's going to be tough even if they get to the finals, if they go through those Western Conference teams. So, but I don't see them getting through the Western Conference unscathed. That's for sure. So, all right, last one, Voldy.
So we head back to the world of college sports. The NCAA Division I Council approved changes to the transfer portal windows that will shrink the number of days for student athletes to be enter their name into the transfer portal as well. Usually that all players are given 45 total days throughout the year to enter their names into the transfer portal. Each sport will have 45 total days, but it will actually be divided up differently by sports as well. For the case of football as well, the transfer portal window will open the day after the college football playoff teams are announced, which is December 4th, 2022, and would stay open for 45 days. Now that next period would open April 15th to April 30th as well, which will remain open with new changes as well. Under the rule, there will be a 30-day window after the season and 15 days in the spring as well. Now, for men's and women's college basketball at the Division I level, the 45-day window remains open the Monday after Selection Sunday, and then there will also be other instances where there'll be some changes as well with fall and winter sports, grad transfers, and other acclimants with this new rule change for the Division I transfer portal window as well. But looking at, of course, what we've seen with the transfer portal of kids just basically going from one to the other, kind of building these super teams as well, trying to get the best fit for them and maybe the most exposure at the same time. Is it absurd or approved? Will the transfer portal return to what it once was with athletes sticking it out with their original programs, or is nothing going to change with these adjustments in the rules coming up?
Nothing's going to change. And the reason why I say that is because it's the NCAA and people are going to find holes in it, and they're gonna implement something, and then all of a sudden people are gonna do the complete opposite and go from there. But at least they're doing something about it. I'll give them that, because there's a lot of these guys that transfer in, transfer out, all the portals, and it's just it's hard to keep up with, I will say. But them implementing this, I don't think is going to change much. And the reason why is because, feelings change. I mean, there's going to be a recruit that comes from, Texas that's 5-star, and then they just that's the same position as a 3-star quarterback that's already playing and all this. I mean, it's just there's a lot of moving pieces, and I feel like there's going to be. They're not going to listen to it. They're going to try to do whatever they can to get out of it, and not get in trouble and all that stuff. So, I nothing's going to change. I think it's absurd. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, the transfer portal and that whole situation, it's just confusing. Like, I remember the good old days where you would just either suck it up or just leave the team that you were on, and then you just live with the consequences of that. Sadly, that's no longer. You could transfer a week into the start of the season or something like that. You could sit it out and then transfer at the end of the season, and then you could be on the top of the world with your next team at a different level. I just find it very confusing how this all works, and I feel like by shrinking the window, now you're just going to create more problems as well, because players and athletes got to find teams and other programs as well that much quicker, which is probably going to create more and more confusion and more messes as well that the NCAA is going to have to resolve as well and create more rules for at the same time. I'm not a big fan of the transfer portal. Of course, it's worked out well for a lot of teams and does create a lot of excitement, and also, like we've seen with the LSU women's basketball team, Colorado football as well. I mean, there is sure going to be some excitement coming up, but the results don't indicate or the amount of work that's put in, why even bother in the first place? Is it going to change anything? No, I don't think it's going to change anything at all.
It's just how it is. It's the NCAA. So
Yep.
we shall see. All right, that will do it for this week. Great job as always, Voldy.
Thanks, sir.
We got some Shield shoutouts to get to this week. It's always a special time with Shield shoutouts, and some obviously a little bit sad, but also some that that are great and that we give applause to and things like that. So let's get it going with some Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who you shouting out tonight?
Of course, we did wrap up the regular season for Major League Baseball, and unfortunately, the end of the regular season for baseball did not come without its own unfortunate end. And longtime Red Sox pitcher, knuckleballer Tim Wakefield, unfortunately, passed away from brain cancer on Sunday at the age of, I believe he was 53 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But sadly, he passed away. Was a key cog of the Red Sox ever since he joined that squad. And he was also a two-time World Series winner in 2004. A big part of that team that broke that curse of Bambino. And in 2007, post-retirement as well. Was still very active with the team as well, with spring training and helping in the front office. Did some broadcasting work with the team, and sadly his life came to an end as well this past Sunday with Tim Wakefield passing away. But of course, we do have to send our well wishes, a changing of the guard, if you will, with Major League Baseball and the retirements. Miguelcabrera, Adam Wainwright as well, quite possibly even Brandon Crawford from the San Francisco Giants as well. Sadly, and their career is most likely coming to an end. I know for Cabrera and Wainwright, it's coming to an end for them, but even the likes of Brandon Crawford, his career still very much in flux, and even former manager for the Red Sox and Indians as well, and now the Cleveland Guardians, Terryfrancona, his time and also retirement from baseball coming to an end as well. So best of luck in retirement to those three gentlemen. I'm sure they'll find themselves pretty active going whatever field they go into next. So that's going to do it for Shield Shoutouts this week.
Probably going into the MLB executives' offices or something like that.
I know Cabrera's going to be working with the Tigers in something, so yeah,
okay.
I think they announced.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Special assistant to player development, something that looks good on a business card, I guess.
Yeah, he was always he's a tough guy to face, even against the Twins and all that stuff. But he was damn good. So, great job with Shield shoutouts this week, Voldy, as always.
Thank you, sir.
And one other thing that I didn't mention, obviously, with the excitement of the Twins and the big game coming up on Sunday for the Vikings, the Gophers play Michigan on Saturday. They did beat Louisiana, so let me give them claps for that. They won after losing to frickin' Northwestern, but this one, it's going to be rough. I feel like I think it's going to be really rough, and do what you can. If they can pull it off, that'd be great. But I don't see it happening, especially losing a big lead to Northwestern. So yeah.
Again, weirder things have happened.
Have happened. You're right.
Cover the spread. We're just covering the spread, folks.
Yep. So we'll see what happens on Saturday. I believe that's 7:30, 6:30, whatever. Central
Prime time.
Prime time.
On NBC. So NBC better be ready to switch programming if it gets ugly early.
Right. Voldy, pick 'em.
Sure.
Get her done. That's what we got to say to all the zoners out here. Congrats again to Dylan on winning the Favre jersey. And you'll be getting that very, very soon. And again, another reminder, get it in. Get those picks in. If you want to win the MinneZona bundle, you got to stay up top, man. I mean, that's just how it goes. The bundle, you got to fight for it. And with that, too, you never know. Those sweatpants have been ordered. I believe I did say that last show. They are on the way. They should be here about mid-October, so I will let you know when they are in, and we will get those out to you as soon as possible. So thank you for all the payments to that. $30, $5 shipping, so we can get that for you. That being said, we've got merch. I mean, we just got a lot of merch. We got the sweatpants. We got the stickers. $2 for the small ones, $3 for the big ones. And remember, we have the Shield Shoutout ones that are very, very special, as well as the shirts, our MinneZona Sports Live shirts, $20, $5 shipping. And the limited edition is still available. If you want it, it's out there. It's ready. You want it, you can get it. So same deal with that, $20, $5 shipping. So that being said, some things are on the ways. Remember the stickers. Remember the stickers. They are available. So check them out.
Stickers, PayPal.
You know it. Get them, got them, good. Make sure you check out W2 Performance. Will Rattel at www.w2performance.com. Thank you, International Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson. Shout out to Tyler. He's a big Twins fan. He's probably feeling pretty good right about now. So go Twins. Make sure you check out the Victorious P.O.D. with Tyler Hermann, Jack Vickers. They're doing fantastic with their fantasy football. I'm always checking with them to see who I need to start and all this stuff. So I will be they're good. They're a good resource. Check out TLS Performance, our guy Troy Stoudemire Jr. Hopefully he can provide even more juice to our Gophers this weekend. He will. He'll bring it. Popcorn Bucket List, Nick Dahlhoff, Ryan Myberg, Omni Entertainment. They got new episodes coming out the woodworks. So follow them on the YouTube, subscribe, like, all that deal. So make sure you check it out. That's going to do it for episode 166. And remember, go Twins, baby.
Yes,
big game Saturday against the Astros. Battles have been won against greater odds, as we all know. So let's get it done, man. Let's do it. Let's keep this thing going. You saw what it was like at Target Field. That was amazing. Amazing.
Electric factory.
And Rocco said it at the end. He said, they're a weapon. I mean, it's just they. When you come here, you got to deal with all the Twins fans, and we're hungry, man. We are hungry. So we'll take a look at that. Skull Vikes as well. Let's just not get blown out. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say.
Cover the spread. Cover the spread.
It's not a trap game. It's not a trap game. But cover the spread.
Not a trap game.
Not a trap game. All right. Well, with that being said, remember, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.